Welcome to the Delegating Team podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental A-Team podcast. Hello, Dental A-Team listeners. This is Kiera, and oh my gosh, it's been far too long since I've had this incredible guest on the podcast. One of my dearest friends, owner of Studio 88, Josh Scott, dear friend, brilliant marketer, incredible background as always. Josh, welcome. How are you today?
Hey, I'm so good. It's always fun to talk to you. I was just telling you, I'm like, I have prepared nothing because you and I can talk pretty easy. So it's just we'll see what happens today. But we'll talk good stuff.
We always talk good stuff. Josh, I feel like our listeners, it's been a hot minute since you guys have been on the podcast. Studio 88 and Dental A-Team, definitely our family. Like we are, it's Josh and Joanna, Kiera and Dental A-Team. I need to get a Joanna in my life. So that way maybe me and Tiff, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
Studio 88 and Dental A-Team, since day one of meeting you guys, it's just been this crazy, awesome partnership. I love what you guys do. You guys have been huge supporters of the Dental A-Team. You guys spoke at our summit. I'm obsessed with what you guys do. I refer tons of people to you. If you want to look like $1,000,000 and have the most beautiful website of all time, hire Studio 88. There's what I'm going to say about you guys. Josh, anything you want to add to that? Like we can wrap up there, right?
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, no, I always, gosh, appreciate your energy around introducing us for sure. No, we are definitely one of your like day ones, just kind of by your side or like on your side from the beginning. I met you even before Dental A-Team was officially there. So yeah, we've always been huge fans. The first time I saw you speak on Mark Costa's stage, and Joanna and I both were like, "Oh, she's cool." So,
Josh, I am just grateful. I say this every time you and I talk, and it's because I think I'm going to pay for the rest of my life that you are my friend when I didn't even know your name when we first podcasted.
that is
The first
true.
ever Josh and Kiera podcast, I didn't know his name, nor did I know you owned Studio 88. So I am just always appreciative that we can I should probably let that die. But I do think it's impressive to show your character that even if you don't know Josh's name, even if you think his wife owns the business, Josh will still be your friend for life if you can make him laugh every time you get on a podcast.
Yeah, I thought we were closer than that, and I realized very quickly, like, oh yeah, she has no idea who I am. But it's all cool. We've recovered since then.
We have. Josh, you and I think at the last time we spoke together, we were actually in Napa at Ashley Hovis's event, which shout out to that event. It's an incredible event. We're both going to be there in November again. It's going to be a killer time.
Yeah,
But I realized at that moment, our relationship is definitely brother-sister relationship. I have nothing prepared at all. I don't have a clicker for my slides. I don't
sweet.
even know how to mic myself up. And you and I are sitting on the side. Josh goes and puts on this incredible presentation, flawless as always. And I'm like, yo, Josh, I have nothing of this stuff. Can you help us sister out? And I realized I think we really do have a brother sister relationship, which is truly magical because that's what I think you guys do for all of the clients you work with. Studio 88 as a marketing company, as a website, as taking pictures, I feel you guys make people feel so comfortable that like myself, I can tell you my insecurities like, hey, I'm not even prepared for this. And you're like, Kiera, I've got you always prepared. And that's something I love about you guys as a company is just the humanized approach that you bring. And I'm curious, Josh, like, where did that come? And for those of you who don't know Studio 88, incredible marketing company, beautiful websites, beautiful design. They tell it through your story. They believe your story is worth it, which I agree. But like, you guys have the humanized approach to marketing. And Josh, where did that even stem from? Where did that come from? I need to know, like, let's go back into the archives. What made you decide that that's the kind of marketing company you wanted to have? Like, was that from day one, or was that something that's evolved as the brand and the company has evolved?
Gosh, that's a really great question. I don't know that I've ever been asked or answered, but when you say that, I'm like, and I know that specific instance. I think you mistook me for the AV guy for a bit, which was fine. But I stepped in and handled all your AV needs
No, Josh,
during
I just
that.
knew you were my brother. Like, I knew you would help me out. You always have everything, and you've got like 20 pairs of shoes every time you travel. Like, I just know you're always
Yeah,
prepared. So why
yeah,
not ask? And you've run how many of my summits? You will always make sure I look great on stage every time.
yeah. No, I don't know. I think it went back to immediately with me was like servant leadership has just always kind of been part of my values and DNA. And I think even how I lead my team is very much, it's not a top down approach. It's very much bottom up. I mean, right now I'm in a kind of phase where I'm walking into a week with too much personally for me to do, like on my task list. Like I can get through it, but what I'm realizing is it's creating, I'm not available for my team throughout the week for things that they need help with and to kind of move down the road. And so I'm trying to get to this place of like, gosh, I need my schedule to be 40, 50% full, just knowing, which I don't like because I'm a planner. I want to go into the week knowing here's the things, but leaving margin because it's just inevitably now with almost 30 team members. And I don't work with them all 30 directly, but there's 6 to 8 that are, I'm invested in projects, and it's just like being there for them, setting them up for success. And so, I think it's like, no matter what business you're in, you're almost always in the hospitality business. Like, regardless. So serving people, knowing how to serve people, it's that whole line of, I think it's the Ritz Carlton where it's like, we are, gosh, what was it? It's almost like we're gentlemen serving gentlemen, or, things like that. It's like just treating those people around you like, yeah, Kiera, what do you need? It's not beneath me to go find an advancer and get your computer set up and download a driver and install it and, whatever.
And pick my intro song because I wanted to have you play me an intro song as well. No, and I know we're making fun and having a joke of like that, but realistically, as someone in the industry, knowing you have friends in the industry, knowing you got someone on your side, I think speaks a lot about who you guys are as a company. I am a very independent person, and most people don't get to see that side of me. And yet,
Yeah.
you, as a person, as a company, I've always just felt that you got this very genuine human approach, that nothing is below you guys, nothing is out of the realm. It's always looking for service. And what I really want to highlight, I watch your guys' Instagram. It's very entertaining. It's very fun. I see the offices that you guys work with. So many raving fans out there of the websites, of the beauty that you guys create. But it's always something where you focus on the individual. It's not a cookie cutter. It's this
Yeah.
very individualized approach. And Josh, like, but you're a growing business. Like, how are you guys maintaining that as you grow? Because I think so many practices have the same thing, right? You start out small, niche. I'm at Studio 88 putting on my summits. Like, you guys are smaller, niche, I'm smaller. And as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, to still maintain that same level of customer care and individualized care and love for these people, sure, you can say servant leadership to your team, but like, how do you still do it to people, not cutting corners, like the Ritz Carlton, yet having a profitable business? Like, I think people feel you can't be humanized, loving, genuine, taking care of it, and profitable. And I would say, look at Josh Scott with Studio 88. I disagree heavily, and the
Yeah.
practices they help. So, like, how did you do it? Give me some inside scoops of what you think have made you able to carry
Yeah.
that on as you've grown.
Gosh, there's kind of like micro answers. There's macro answers to that. On the like the micro side, I mean, our team, our processes are completely built around a custom experience for our clients, and so I mean, the way like we write websites from blank documents, we code them from a blank document. One of the really unique things about us that really none other agencies in the space do this is most website companies, when they go to build a website, they've kind of got their 15 to 20 different kind of templates, like previous sites that they built, that it's their IP. It's not a template. Like they build it, but they'll sit down with a developer will sit down with it and then customize that. So change colors, add their logo, adjust some writing to put their city in it, change photography, something like that. We actually, this is a very small detail, but like ours start with a designer. So it's a blank desktop. A designer basically without development restrictions goes, what do I think this looks like based on all these discovery tools we have from the client? From there, it goes to development to then build it in the digital space. So you get like this unique footprint of a digital presence, but it's a two-step process for us, where a lot of companies it's one step. So it takes a little bit longer. I'd be the first one to say, we're a little bit on the higher end. I think we're competitive with our competitors for what you get, but it's definitely on the higher end of the investment because you're literally getting an experience that is proven, it's predictable. One my thing was I'm like, this is a highly creative process, highly subjective, but how do we make it predictable? You know, it's like Walt Disney. Like people are coming to Disney World expecting this amazing, happy experience. How do we make that happen consistent every single time? And there's massive amounts of systems behind it. So our team, we're a creative agency. One of our biggest values is processes. Like, I mean, I've got some like architects on the team, man, that can build some systems for you. And it's awesome to watch them. And that's just been a little bit of the secret kind of behind it for sure.
I love that. And I do love one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Walt Disney, where he says, like, the magic, it's from predictable systems behind the scenes are what create the magic. And I've thought about that a lot, but I'm curious, like, I even want to go further back, Josh, because that's a very potentially risky business move, right? There's people who dream these big, lavish, higher end, high end dental practices, for example, and they flop. And they don't turn out. And so I'm curious from your perspective, and I'm doing this intentionally because I love you guys as a company, but I think what you guys do are what so many people aspire to do, but they don't know how. So,
Yeah.
one, I'll break this down into a few questions. Did you always know from the day one of starting Studio 88 that you were always going to have a higher end experience, or did that evolve as the company evolved? That's question one.
Yep. Yes and yes. I knew like we started, we never have built anything with stock photos. So the very first website we did photography. And for me, that was just a defining thing of how can we do authentic marketing if we've got stock photos? Like that didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there drove cost up. And then it just became a game of can we can we make money on delivering what I think is the best experience? And that was probably the journey. But realizing like, yeah, I'm not like I'm not a bargain basement guy. Like I'm not the go in and I'm not a McDonald's dollar menu guy. I'm not I'm not
Right.
a like buy one get one free. That stuff just doesn't speak to me. So I think it's also just being true to myself of I understand I wouldn't call us a luxury brand. I'd call us a premium brand. And so I think understanding that space, studying it, and a lot of people will tell you like, oh, websites are a commodity, da da da, this and that. Man, look, I think you can build premium in any space. You just have to be able to do it right and deliver on that. Um, and in the end of it, Kiera, I think honestly, this is what people want. People have had such bad dental marketing experiences. It's just like crazy. I hear about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not okay. And part of that's because we're trying to pay 2,500 for a website or, 5,000 for this like whatever ad campaign that just doesn't go anywhere. And then it's just all wasted money.
Totally. And you know my opinions about marketers. So the fact that I consider you like brother sister relationship here is quite like impressive in my world because I really have struggled with marketing. I don't know. I think I've shared this with you. Maybe I didn't. My first marketing experience, I spent $80,000 with literally a $0 ROI. And I'm like,
Wow.
marketers are a freaking scam. Like, I am
Yeah.
over this. Y'all give me the pitch of we need to change your website and then it's going to take 3 months. And if it doesn't work, well, that's your fault, and we never are going to work on someone else's dirty laundry. We're going to build our own. Like, it's the same freaking pitch from every person.
Yeah.
And so I agree. I think you were really brilliant to come in and to do something different. But what I love the most, and this is what I feel ties so perfectly to you guys, is you are true to who you are. And I feel dentists need to be true to who they are. Like, don't try and have this imposter syndrome and be something that you're not. If you're the dollar bargain guy, there is a dentist, and I know he knows who he is because I've called him out before. He is in the most loving terms, and he knows that this is the greatest compliment. The cheapest dentist I have ever met in my entire life, and
Yeah.
he lives for it. Like, he
Yeah.
literally lives for it, and I love him for it because he knows that about himself. He works with us, and I just think he's adorable because of it. But he's true to
Yeah.
himself.
Well, it's like I did in one of my presentations. I compare this. It's Walmart and Louis Vuitton. Like
I
it's
think
not
of this
right or wrong,
often.
good or bad. That's not what the conversation is. Walmart knows what they're supposed to be doing, and it's low prices, affordability, like for everybody. Louis Vuitton knows what they're supposed to be doing, which is status, scarcity, handcrafted. So it's going back to your question. Here's why I think that happens. Like why you spend whatever doesn't have a good experience. I really think this is something I've been thinking about in my head. I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I kind of need to like give it some thought, but it's like when CEOs or business owners delegate marketing, I rarely see that go well. And I think it's because it's almost like it's part of it's like who you are. It's the messaging of your company. It's your brand. It's how people think about you. And when you give that to somebody, and it's almost like if I pay you X, you'll generate this amount of business. They're like, yes. It I don't know, like you have to have more of a handle on it than that, than just going like throwing money at something and expecting a problem to be solved. Marketing is something that a CEO and a business owner, I don't know that I've seen them delegate it real successfully. If they do, it's like somebody there needs to understand what they're doing with it, because it's like your heartbeat. Marketing for me is the energy of your company. Like it is your energy. So that's a really hard thing to delegate if you think about now advertising tactics, like, hey, do Google AdWords 100%. But like
Sure.
the energy, the story, the messaging of your company to kind of give money and just be like, yeah, here, make us grow. It's rarely going to work, you know?
It's interesting. I never thought about that because am sure there's quite a few listeners that are like, Josh, you're up in the night. Do you not know that I'm in people's mouths? I'm prepping teeth all day long.
Right.
And now you want me to be the marketer. But as you said that, this is a connection I don't think I've ever made because I've been guilty of delegating that. I'm like, I don't want to go beyond social media, Josh. I don't want people to know my entire life. And you guys have helped me realize like, share what you want to share, be who you want to be. There's no right or wrong. Um, but I think it's something very, very, very interesting that when you said that marketing is the energy of the company, I realized interesting. The energy and the culture needs to be set by the CEO. Therefore, that's the branding, that's the messaging, that's the tone. And if we can set that and we can create processes, fantastic, you can lead it. But that to me, I never connected that. I feel our marketing messaging and energy is truly our culture. And what we're trying to do through websites, through social, through branding are to relay that culture to attract the people we want to be attracting. And they should be synergistically combined. I don't know if I said anything that just made sense. In my mind, it made sense. So I'm hopeful that as it translated out, but just
Yeah.
thinking of it more as a culture builder as opposed to a task I have to do might change some CEOs' minds because it just changed mine.
Yeah, it's like marketing is growth, and so it's the responsibility of the growth part of your company. It's like almost like the growth department of your company. And when you think about it like that, like it's really hard to just detach from that. And I get it. Like dentistry, it's almost like I am a clinician 98% of the time. Like I'm barely handling payroll and and whatever. Like, man, I get that all day. You're gonna struggle with marketing if it's not, it's just one of those places that's going to have to come from you, or it's going to have to come from somebody. That energy, that story, that messaging, that these are the places we're going to be. These are the, like, are we in the community at all the parades and farmers markets and high school football games, or are we big on social media? It's some of those decisions. Because if you're not, what happens is the latest greatest marketing agency comes along and says, hey, are you geofencing? And you're like, no, what is that? Give me $1,500 a month and we'll geofence ads around your practice. And you're like, okay, because you don't want to handle it, and you haven't defined what that energy and that growth strategy is for your practice, and you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. And so I think it's some of these questions of like, yeah, it's going back, like, what's the story? What do we have energy around? What do you guys see? How do you want this practice to grow? And a lot of times that's probably enough to just start that conversation and turn it over to people. Yeah, like I said, I'm still kind of thinking about this, but it's like a thought in my head of when I see that happen, I'm kind of like, there's some disconnect there.
It's very interesting to me because I think that, and this is why I like to podcast with you. You and I will talk in a lot of ideas, a lot of pieces. We're not going to dive into your nitty gritty marketing today, guys. If that's what you wanted, check out past podcasts. Today we're going to talk about energy and figuring out how to build this. Because Josh, I think that that's the next question of how do you even start this strategy? Like, I think it's easy as a dental practice. They know I want X amount of production. I want to make these revenue numbers. All right, fantastic. We at least have a like box checked. But then I think so many people don't feel that by being authentic or story marketing, like you guys share, of like, let's talk about it, let's build the energy, let's create that. That feels hard. It feels easier to just pay for it. But as you said, that is this fair to say? I would think yes, that in doing so, by actually deciding what kind of a brand we want to have, what kind of energy we want to have in our business, what our story is, where we want to be, that actually becomes a very easy filtering process to determine what kind of marketing we want to do or not do. Like
Yeah.
geofencing doesn't fit this, we're not going to do that. Social
Right.
media doesn't fit this, but all the internal parades do fit this. Or like the community. I don't care how many people come and ask us to like contribute to it. That's not our jam. We're more social presence. Does that help become a filtering process? So like, yes, it might feel like hard in the beginning, but long term does become a filtering easier process to know how to market, know what to say, know how to do it. Does it actually save time long term?
Right. Yeah. And this is, like if it was me and I'm in a practice, where I would probably go from here is almost start a little like growth team in the practice. And maybe it's you and one other person, maybe it's you and like two other people that you think kind of get like they're invested, right? It's they're not ownership, but it's like they feel like they take the practice personally, they care about it. And start a little growth team and just even start with the questions of like, how if we were going to try to grow more, where should we go, where should we be, what should we, if we had $1,000 next month, where do you guys think we should put it? And I think if you do that and kind of use those parameters of like, what do we have energy around? Because if you're like, I hate social media, I'm like, don't put the $1,000 in social media, But if you're like out, riding your bike down to the farmer's market on Saturday, picking up a basket of strawberries, like why not be there? That makes a ton of sense. And your team has energy around that. And so like for us, when, one of the things we do every year is we call it our swag drop. And look, everybody has swag, so that's not nothing new. But I like cool swag, like stuff I would actually wear is the
Agreed.
filter with which my team creates stuff. Like if we can get Josh to wear it, we're good. Because I mean, I'm like in a plain white t-shirt. I don't usually wear logos and stuff. So, but we create fun stuff like cool hoodies, socks, whatever, and then we drop them in boxes to our friends throughout the space. And so what it does is it just like there's energy around it. Kira, like you get it. There's
I
like
love it. Do you know my
yeah,
team asked, they're like, Kiera, can we buy their swag? And I said, no, this is like only if you're in their group. Like, I
I
felt like
know.
a jerk, but it did make it so cool and it's such awesome. I wore it. I didn't tell you this, Josh. I should have tagged a picture. I didn't love my hair, which is why you didn't get a picture of me. I definitely wore your guys' swag to Puerto Rico when we flew there for my birthday. Hoodie on, hair up in a bun, Studio 88 repped the whole way there and back because your swag is awesome.
No, that's awesome. But for us, it's like it's fun for our team. So there's energy around it. You get it. You're probably not feeling like, oh, there's energy in this box. But then like what happens is everybody kind of shares it on social media. And we actually staggered it over 3 months on purpose. So there's almost like every week, like there's these posts of people, posting their stuff. And then our team loves it. The people getting it love it. And so now there's energy. And that is really at its core what marketing is about. And so it's just like, what are we doing to create energy here? What has energy? What are we giving money to that doesn't have energy? I mean, because this is what like bigger practices, DSOs. This is one of the things that start like as you start getting 7, 8, 10 practices. Now you're building a marketing department. So that's one of those
Mhm.
keys that like DSOs know is like, okay, at that point you have to have somebody in a small team in house that's actually managing the marketing. So you just got to figure out how to bring that down to a lower level and go, yeah, we don't have a marketing team, but I probably got a couple people on my team that would take 15 minutes a week or an hour a month in a meeting to help me think through some of this, get them on board, get them excited, and start doing some of that stuff.
I love it. I want to add, like, let's make this simple because I'm all about simplicity. We know, like, I'm a systems queen. I like things to be very easy. Ease is actually one of our core values. So I'm a dentist. I'm going to go
Yeah.
work with my team. We're going to figure out what brings us energy. Josh, what are all, this is going to put you on the spot and it's okay. I'm sure you'll miss a few. And I expect that because it's not scripted. What are all the different ways that we can market? Can you just like rattle off so we have a laundry list and that way listeners can come back to this and then they can also hear like, oh my gosh, I'd love to do that, no, I don't want to do that. Like, what are all the different mediums that we can do that are considered marketing to grow our practices and to help us become that elite practice in our community and in our spaces?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this list could go on probably forever, but I think it's like, what's going on in your community. Dental practices are still community based. So I think for me, it's almost like start home, like start there and kind of work your way out. But like, are you a community practice? I'm sure like what events are coming up through the summer? What athletics are you sponsoring? What different places are you at with signage? Think about your signage. Like, is there anything else we can do? A lot of times we build a building or we acquire a practice, the signage is just there. We get stuck with it. We never even think through it again. Like, is it internally lit? Is it in a good location? Can you talk to the landlord and actually increase the size? Is that a city requirement? Like, where are we at with that? Like, for me, getting signage is such a huge marketing piece. I
Hmm.
would I would choose buildings based on signage versus the building, me personally.
Same.
You're sitting at a building across the street is a Starbucks, and people are sitting in the to go line or whatever, the drive through, and they're looking at your practice. Should be a huge sign there. So I mean, I've had practices where they've had a sign on one side of the building, but there's kind of this road on the other side, and I'm like, get a sign on the other side. And they're like, that's another $12,000. I'm like, I know, but that's
How
literally
much?
like four patients a month coming in because of that other
Right.
sign. So I mean, signage is one. I mean, obviously social media and just and how fragmented that is, right? Like maybe you're Facebook and Instagram, but you don't like LinkedIn and TikTok and Reels. Fine, like do your place. Your just online presence, your reviews. There's a whole marketing strategy around reviews. We have a practice right now. I was just in yesterday. Went from 274 reviews to 413 in 3 months, which is a really good jump in reviews.
It's
And
huge.
yeah, and I was like, did you guys automate it? Like, are you using Bird Eye, Swell? And it was my idea, so I kind of knew it. But they are giving away a big green egg grill, and they put it right in the like entryway. So you walk in. We made the
Yeah.
sign. It says it's big, it's green, it could be yours. And there's this massive green egg grill, and they're like, patients are tripping out. Like everybody wants this thing. That's a little gray area with asking about reviews and incentivizing it. Like you can't pay for them, but could you do a raffle and get like yeah? So don't message me later and go that's unethical and all this stuff because yeah, we know all the rules. But
It is great.
um,
We're not in Canada. Canada, you'll get written up in a newspaper. And don't ask me how I know this. I may have learned that lesson the hard way. Only one time, but the US is different.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, gosh, I think we could go on and on. Just even publications locally, I don't know that those are dead. Especially on a local level. There's really good opportunities there. So I think it's just kind of creatively looking out and going, I don't know. I would literally ask the question, like put everything on the table, go, okay, we've got 18
Yep.
different options here. What do we get most excited about? Because that's going to be the stuff that's going to last. People are going to feel that energy through there and it's going to be more effective.
I love that because as you just said that, it made me think of like, okay, how can we make this tactical of let's get our team in a room or the marketing champions in our practice and let's just do a massive like fun brain dump of all the possible ways that we could market and just see what they are. And then I remember I did an exercise one time where we did a graph and it was like cost, value, and time. And we plotted all of these ideas of cost because what we're looking for is lowest cost, greatest ROI impact with the shortest amount of time possible. And so if you even like 18, 20 ideas, like let's just have a massive brainstorming, then let's plot it on a graph and then let's choose our three to thrive of which three are we going to implement over the next 3 months and what are we hoping to expect from that. But I think, Josh, so many people like you just said like a sign. I remember putting a sign there. We got 90 new patients from one sign. I didn't
Yeah,
market it
yeah,
at all. I
yeah,
think so many things are what are the simple low hanging fruit that's
yeah,
fun. And for me, what excites me is the least amount of time, effort, and energy. And therefore, we're going to move forward on that one. But for other people, like they're like, Josh, you get so excited about creating beautiful things that lights your fire. Like you don't care
yeah,
about efficiency. Like, yes, you have processes, but for you, it's like the experience. And if I get to hang out with these people and I get to share my wine love with them, like I will be so happy. And that's your style of marketing. Mine is
yeah,
what's like the most witty, fun, like clever type of marketing. That's what I get excited about. And so
yeah.
just really also knowing yourself. And I'm curious, Josh, how do people figure out their like why or their story? Because I think you guys do such a good job of really encompassing that. Like, do you have any tips of how to like, okay, we've got our ideas of how we can market, but like you said, the energy of the company, what are some tangible tips or ways to figure out like what we really are passionate about and why we're here? Any tangible things that people can take away to start even brainstorming in this world?
Yeah, and this becomes the tough work because this is like the backup and kind of solve this. But when you do it, it saves you so much time down the road. I remember like I've been around dentistry for 20 years and always on the marketing side. And I mean, 15, 18 years ago, I remember people coming to me like, hey, the Yellow Page rep was just here and wants to know what do we want in our ad this year? And I was like, I don't know. What do you like? Because marketing is a message. So if you haven't defined the message, then we're kind of like, yeah, the Yellow Page rep, just tell them to do the same thing this year. And so it's really taking two steps back to be able to answer that. Marketing is magnifying a message. So it makes sense that a message has to be there to be able to magnify that. And so backing up to go, yeah, my presentation right now is kind of like the three best questions for that. One is like, what relationships or experiences have shaped you? Just being here, being a dentist. What do you have energy for? I think that's a huge piece of this story. And then what do you see? And so I think if you just took those three questions and really sat down and kind of wrote some answers to them, you would have a real simple skeleton around the marketing message. And that's like step one, is beginning to define some of that narrative. And really, whether it's your values, a lot of people start with values, like, well, here's the 7 values of our practice. Okay, what do those mean? Like, let's start to build that out. Let's build a website framework from that. Which value means the most? Can we craft a sentence around that? Well, now there's a tagline. Let's lead the website with that. Let's put that in the yellow page ad, right? When he comes, he's like, oh yeah, here's our tagline. Our tagline, our logo, our website. Boom! Now we have a yellow page ad. And I'm saying, I realize yellow pages are very dated. I'm just kind of talking back to that point,
I
but
like it. We can all remember those pages.
yeah, but even like a Google ad, like you're going to put that out there. Like, what should the headline be? Well, maybe it's your tagline, which is what starts the narrative. We're at a place right now. We just kind of reworked we actually reworked some of our packages, which I think it's a really great move on our company's part to serve clients better. But it forced us to think through some of our messaging, and it came back to values. It came back to story. Like, what do these packages mean? Like, what's the story? Like, why did we change packages, and what does that mean for clients? So there's a whole story there, and it forced us to go, well, here's the 4 reasons. Okay, that makes sense. We've spent about 4 months crafting these one word sentences with another like subheading sentence. And we're actually, it's all, well, we unveiled it kind of last month, and we were at a conference last month, but we've got like new signage and all that stuff. But they're storylines, and it's part of that narrative of just going, here's why we do these packages, because we think it serves dentistry better because of this, and it creates a story. So
Well, Josh, don't leave us hanging. What are these? Like, what do they look like? Because I know you guys do websites. I know you do photography. But agreed, like industry's changing and people's needs are changing. And I love those questions. So all of you, I hope you wrote that down. I hope you're planning to do the brainstorm dump. But what are the things, like if I'm a practice looking for marketing, I wrote down a note of what I want Studio 88 to do for me. Don't worry, guys. They help me a lot with my own marketing and my branding and our images. So Josh, what are those things if people need marketing help? What are you offering right now?
yeah,
I
we
don't even know. So don't leave me hanging. I mean, I'm in your swag drop box group. Don't leave a friend hanging.
well, I'll tell you, like, if somebody said, hey, what makes you different? This is really kind of our positioning. And I would tell them that there's really 4 things that make us unique. Number one, we say it's the best of both worlds. And so for the first time in dentistry, I think, which is, it's kind of like a silly statement to say, but really for the first time in dental marketing, you don't have to choose between a beautiful website and performance marketing. We've been able to bring both of those together. And what I mean by that is the first chapter of Studio 88, look, if our competitors, if they were going to take a shot at us, they would say, oh, beautiful website, it's not going to perform well. Google's not going to index it well. It's not going to get the click-through rate you want with digital ads, whatever. So they would always take shots at the performance of them. And they would create this thing of like, well, what's going to be better? A website that looks beautiful, like amazing photography, sure. Nobody's going to find it. And so I think dental practices have really had to choose. That's been a lot of the marketing agency conversations. Oh, I think they're really good with SEO. Oh, I think they're really good with telling my story. So the last year, we've made a big investment into very talented SEO people, digital ad specialists, social media specialists, to build out those services of our company. Because I had a theory of, I'm like, I don't think that has to be the case. I think we can build something that's beautiful, that connects on a psychological level with patients, but also behind the scenes can score very well with Google. We put that into play. We've got now stats and data around it. And it's super exciting to go, I think you can do both now. So,
It's awesome.
that's number one. Number two, we say we have free production for life. So we give our clients a free photo or video session every 24 months that they're with us in a marketing package. And one of the big pain points we saw was, you build a site, you put it up, you've got amazing photography of the team. Well, then team members change. How do I keep the website fresh? How do we get new photography up there? And so we've just built this in. Like, so it's every 24 months. You're going to new photography, you refresh the site. It's going to look amazing, feel brand new. I mean, Kiera, we started 9 years ago. Our clients from 9 years ago still have the same website. Like
Yeah.
literally, they've just updated photography. And I think this
That's
concept of
awesome.
building a new website every 4 years is just, it's crazy. And it doesn't allow you as a business to gain momentum. Like you
Hmm.
as a business, the best thing you can do is solve your marketing, solve your marketing, solve your agency, solve what you're trying to do, get on the right track, build your digital space, and allow it to gain momentum over time, by not switching gears like every 3 or 4 years. So
Well, I think that's brilliant. I I mean, do you want to know how many websites I've built? And we're doing another one. Like Josh,
yeah,
marketing is my Achilles heel. So agreed. If you can get that set up on track and not have to constantly redo it, it's a lot of time, effort, energy, and money. And I feel emotional stress. Like I do not enjoy having to constantly do a
yeah,
website, constantly thinking about the marketing. It's like it can't be a set it and forget it, but I do think it can have a lot of the bones and structure. And then I love the photography for life. It's like dentistry, free whitening for life. It's a
yeah,
similar thing. Like these are the things they like. We call pictures the kiss of death. Every time we do phone, like every time without fail, someone will leave. But you
yep,
guys help me realize, like, just take the pictures of where you are at this time and
yeah,
appreciate that that was your team at that time who helped you get there, and then be excited for the next batch of people that
yeah.
come through too.
Yeah, well, and you know what's crazy right now is these AI tools. We're taking people out of team photos. It's ridiculously crazy.
AI is nuts.
So
Are
I
you
think
like
it's like,
side quick side tangent? Are you guys afraid of AI taking over marketing as my like most big side tangent and then come back to the packages? Like 3 seconds. Yes
no,
or no?
no. It look, man, 100. Literally 100 years ago, 1910, 1920, it was like 92% of the population worked in agriculture. 100 years later, it's like 4%.
Mm,
That turned over in 100 years, which is massively fast. And yet
yeah.
humans also have a job. We all still have a purpose. So I'm like, AI comes through. We keep having these conversations, but I'm like, AI comes through. It just changes, you know?
Hmm.
And then in the 40s and 50s, everything was manufacturing. And then everything starts to go overseas. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So I've seen this narrative like 3, 4, 5 times. It's just a tool that's going to be used. It's going to make life efficient and it's going to create
To
more
be so
jobs
cool.
actually. So, all
Yeah. Okay. So you
right.
guys
So
now do a website, photography for life. Like you can have both best of both worlds,
yeah.
photography for
Yeah.
life.
And then the last two, I'll just hit them quick, but it's the last agency you'll ever need. Building a digital experience that can grow with your practice, and it's this concept of like you hire probably your first agency and build a website for like a couple $1,000 because I get it, like it's DIY, it's a startup, you just want something, but then you really don't like it. So a couple of years later, you finally get tired enough about it, you go back through it again. Like you said, it's a process, man. To just keep figuring that out. Oh, what do you want the website to say? Well, I don't know. Like, do I have to write it? All that stuff. So you do it again. Maybe it's a little bit better. You spend a little bit more, but I'm like, you think about that missed opportunity of it might have been more upfront, but if you landed with the right company and over the next 10 years had a website that could grow, the structure of it was right, we could implement, these all the communication tools now that are giving patients convenience through that experience. Like we can implement all that stuff. So it's it's not what's the cost of all that over 10 years, it's what's the missed opportunity cost to not have that and to keep trying to solve it. So and then the last one is we just say we serve the best. We love the clients we work with. We feel like they're the best clients. We're also working with some of the top practices around the country. And because of that, we've built a different experience. We only take on so many new clients a month. We cap it. Like today, Kiera, we were done. It's June 8th. We closed June. We had all of our new clients. So we had another one come through this afternoon. And Mike, our sales director, will let them know, hey, we're super excited to work with you. On July 1st, our account managers will reach out right away and get your project started.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of know that ahead of time. But we've all seen companies that grow fast, and what happens? The customer service starts to suck. They're not getting back to me. Like I've changed account managers 3 times. We see this story all the time. I decided we're not going to grow a company that way. I know what we can handle creatively to have an amazing experience. And so we shut it down and go,
It's awesome.
and I'm like, you would rather have our full attention on July 1st than to be just one of a flood of clients right now in June. So, and most people are completely fine with that.
That's incredible. I love that. So, Josh, if people want this resonates, like again, Studio 88, and I tell everybody they're not for every practice,
Yeah.
nor do you want to. Like, Josh, you know who you want to work with, you know the practices. I think about Ashley Hoba's, her website, I feel landed her success early on. She knew what she wanted. You guys helped her build that, the name of her practice. And so I do think that there is so much value in landing that correctly. So if people resonate with you guys, if they love the humanized approach, if they love the telling your story and having it optimized, how can they connect with you guys? Because I truly do feel you guys do this so well and such an awesome thing. And also, if you tell them Dental A Team sent you, you definitely get better treatment. Like they treat
Yeah.
everyone awesome, but Dental A Team people, remember, I'm like his little sister. Okay.
Yeah.
So Josh, how can they connect with you?
Best place for me, I'm at Instagram at Joshua Scott. I'm still in all my DMs. So if you hear this episode, see it, drop me a message, let me know. Would love to hear from you. But then also s8e8.com, letter S, number 8, letter E, number 8.com, where you can find out all about us and set up a time to talk.
That's awesome. Well, Josh, I appreciate you personally and professionally. It was real fun to just kind of go through all the pieces. And for all of you listening, I hope you take away something like, let's not just consume content, let's take action, because just consuming content is definitely a sign of procrastination. And none of you listening are procrastinators. You're definitely doers. So brainstorm your marketing ideas. Be sure to figure out your why. Answer those questions he said of what's the relationship or experience? What's the energy? And then what do we see? And then make sure that you're building websites and photography and experiences that really are resonating who you are for the patients you want. So Studio 88, incredible. I love them. I love Josh and Joanna. I love their team. I work with their team often. Great people. Check them out. Studio 88, message Josh. I love that he's literally saying like, DM me. I'll respond to you. That's who they are, and they will always be that way. And as always, thanks for all of you listening. I'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team podcast. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.